going on, y'all? This is Real Talk Focus. You know
Yes,
what?
sir.
Yeah, you know what time it is? It's us, Cesar and I, Donnie. And then I want to introduce to you, actually, got a guest speaker today, and it's Fernando.
How's you guys doing?
Yeah, we good, man. How you feeling?
Doing all right, man.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
awesome. I just want to just want to say thank you and appreciate it
Yeah.
for just making your time
That's right.
and the effort and the energy to like sacrifice that time to come here. And
Of course, I appreciate the invite here.
yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you again. You know,
Yeah.
it's been a long
It's
time.
been a long time.
Oh yeah.
Right, man. It's been a
Yeah.
minute. It's been a
Especially
minute.
with Don. I don't even remember last time I saw this guy.
Man,
Yeah.
I know, bro. It
It
feels
was
like
back-
a century ago.
Yeah, it was back in school for sure, though.
Yeah.
Dang,
Yeah,
that's way
definitely.
back.
Yeah.
Definitely school days, man. I remember that. You know,
Yeah.
playing basketball outside over, at
Yeah.
Liberty
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
lunchtime and all that.
yeah,
Those
bro.
were good times, man.
Yeah.
Miss those days.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, man. But
Awesome.
again, we're here. Introducing Fernando. Somebody wanted to come on the show. Like everybody, we want to invite anybody who just wants to speak their mind. But yeah, I mean, to start off, yeah, man. What have you been up to lately?
Just working, keeping busy with work.
Yeah.
It's been really hot.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been trying to paint more. I like
Nice.
to do a lot of art, so
Yeah.
I've been trying to paint when the days aren't too hot.
Nice.
But other than that, I'm just working from home and
Right.
and
Nice.
busy with that. I'm a parole and probation officer with Washington County.
Yeah.
So part of my job is to assist inmates that are coming out of the prison system.
Gotcha.
Making sure they know what's expected of them when they get out.
Right.
But also offering a hand to them for anything they need. Housing,
That's good.
clothing, a mentor.
Right.
So yeah, and then the other part of my job is to do investigations on homes and the people proposed
Yeah.
to get out from, usually family members, things like that. So, but I haven't been able to do either one of those because
Right.
of everything that's going on in COVID. So,
Exactly.
been working from home a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
A little bit more laid back than.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's
Yeah.
a little bit more laid back. I think everybody kind of that's stuck at home working right now kind of feels that as well.
Right.
But like I was saying before, it's nice to be at home, but at other times it's I want to go back to work. Get
Yeah.
out of this environment. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people feel like that too.
Right.
yeah,
Gets to that point after like a month and a half,
Yeah.
2 months. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
time
I'm
to go
good.
back.
Right. Yeah. I dig it.
Yeah,
It probably becomes like stagnant
Yeah,
Right.
after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, all of you guys out there, you better watch out, huh? Fernando,
Yeah.
catch you guys.
Yeah. For real. Yep.
No, we're in it to help people for sure. So
Exactly.
get people right on the right path and
Yeah.
making sure they have the support around them that they need and
Good.
they're able to connect to the resources out in the community that are available to them.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't know what the resources are.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
it's good to have kind of be that middleman between community corrections and then them coming out of the institution as well. So
Right.
yeah.
That's good, man.
Awesome. You know what? That's amazing. That's incredible because to me that actually breaks down to leadership.
Yeah.
Supporting others,
Right.
helping others.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, that's a greater blessing, bro.
Yeah.
So
And I think the majority of the credit should go to the mentors because
Right.
a lot of the mentors that we work with, they've been through the system. They have a lot of the same convictions that a lot of our clients have,
Gotcha.
right.
so they can relate to them in ways that we can't. Sometimes,
Okay.
they've suffered with addiction before.
Man.
So and a lot of our clients have as well. So they have that connection as well,
Right.
where I wouldn't have that connection with somebody,
Yeah.
So in a way, like I said, they can relate to them in ways that we can't, which is
Right.
awesome.
Right.
So that trust and that rapport is built a lot quicker between the mentor and the client. And so I'm just grateful that I get to work with them because they're the ones that truly change people's lives and they walk with people through their journey and
Right.
it's just amazing to see people turn around just because the support that's around them. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
To have those
Yeah.
access, and like you said, a lot of people don't know about those things,
Right.
or how to find help. Because I'm sure a lot of people out there want
Oh, yeah.
that support, but they
Oh, for
just don't
sure.
know, and then they just go down the steep road of doing whatever they're doing,
Right.
ending up where they have to end up. But it's good
Right.
that,
And
that
there's
you-
also something to be said for people that are wanting the help
right.
and then people that are forced to get the help.
Right.
Oh,
That's
right,
true.
yeah.
And,
True.
you know, for those people that are forced to get the help, sometimes it works for them.
Right.
But I like to see when people want that change when they come out of prison and they say, this is my last time in here. I've been in here X amount of times.
Right.
And then I always ask them, what's different about this time?
Yeah. Yeah.
And were you saying these things last time you were in there?
Right.
And then kind of, dig kind of deeper in their mind to help them think of things that maybe they weren't thinking of before.
Yeah.
And then using those things and applying resources to them to help them, not run into the same situations that they're running into last time.
Right.
And I think that's what the goal is to just surround people with positive pro-social people and resources that can really be beneficial and useful to them. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
That was
awesome.
good. So you got to a point where I'm sure you can see the difference, right, between people that actually want the help, but then people that are just kind of
For sure.
just going through it just because
Yeah.
either they think, I'm sure like they think it's cool, or like they just got so used to it
Right.
that it's like, oh, whatever. It's just, I'm back here again. What's up?
Yeah.
Type of
Yeah, and I
thing.
think a lot of people get complacent with their lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard to break them from them. And in a way, like, not that I'm condoning it, but
Right.
I understand it. Like,
Right.
once you're used to something and you change it, especially something so drastic, it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
When you're like, for example, when you're using drugs,
Right.
everything you do is revolves around the next time you use.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not saying that for everybody, but
Right.
for from what I know, from what I've seen, and it's just it's heartbreaking to see some of that stuff. But I understand if somebody's not ready to go through it, then there's nothing that law enforcement could do. There's nothing family could do.
Right.
That's gonna make them change unless there's something inside them, no matter how small, that wants to change, that they can grow on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and kind of an example, I know this is kind of going a little bit off topic, but one thing that I started, so when this whole quarantine thing started, I gained a lot of weight, which
It happens.
Yeah, I think all of us.
Yeah,
I think we all
which was different for me because my whole life I've always been underweight.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with my weight. I've always been underweight. It wasn't until I was into adulthood where I actually met the mark for where I should be.
Right.
And I've never really been overweight until this quarantine started.
Yeah.
Which was amazing to me because I always, try to consume as much as I can to gain weight.
Right.
And it never worked. And then all of a sudden my metabolism shifts and here I am gaining weight. So I got to the point where I found myself, being really labored and breathing hard when I'm doing simple tasks, like, just going and taking the trash out or something like that. I'm like, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
And then I started snoring, which is something that I've never done before.
Yeah.
And it was like snoring like really bad. And I'm like,
woke you up, you're like, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. It scared me. So, I knew I had to do something.
Yeah.
So, I had a gym membership, but I never used it. So I found an exercise program online that I've been doing for I've been doing it for about 3 weeks now. But about 2 or 3 months ago, I started intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So right now I only eat usually between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m.
Gotcha.
So I did that. I started that about 3 months ago. So I have a feeding window between 7 and 11. So outside of that, I can't eat anything. So like today, I haven't eaten anything all day.
Okay.
Just water. That's all I can have is water. So I drastically dropped I think it was 9 pounds in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
That's
quick.
Just with that diet. And at the time when I dropped 9 pounds, I was, during my eating window, I was still eating whatever I wanted, know?
Yeah. Exactly.
I was eating crazy amount of carbs. I was just consuming, spaghetti and pizza and everything I wanted, but I was still losing weight.
Right.
So I was like, well, now that I'm incorporating working out into this, maybe I should just go a little step further.
Right.
And so I started a new diet about a month ago, maybe a little bit over a month ago. It's carnivore diet. So I don't eat anything but meat. So between my eating window, between 7 and 11, I usually eat between 1 to 2 pounds of meat.
Oh, wow.
But what I'm trying to get at with this whole story is, for me, during this whole process of the last 3 months of changing everything that I do, it kind of made me realize, like, back to my clients, like, you know, this is a lot harder than just, hey, stop using drugs. Like, hey, you know, stop, you know, doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It's like a lifestyle change. So even for me, just going from just sitting all the time to working out was really hard. I would try to make excuses every day, like, no, I'm not, you know, my back hurts, I slept wrong, my neck hurts, I overslept today. But luckily, since the very first day, I have not missed a workout.
Nice.
I've done a couple, you know, kind of cheat things that I probably shouldn't have ate, but
Sure.
you know, that's okay. But you know, the moral of the story is, you know, it kind of made me kind of step back and realize, like, you know, even this change has been really, really hard for me. Like, it's been a struggle, even though I've stuck with it.
Right.
It's been a struggle every single day, every single workout, every single choice to eat something or not eat something, or put something in your mouth at noon when you're not supposed to eat till 7.
Right.
And I'm not super religious about it, you know. In the beginning, I caught myself accidentally eating stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to be eating this.
Gotcha.
But I've been more mindful. That only happened like once or twice, like in the very first week I started doing it. But it's I feel a lot better.
Right.
I've never felt as healthy as I feel now.
Nice.
So I'm just going to continue to do it. But yeah, it just made me realize, like, with my clients, it kind of humbled me. You know, just be more patient with people that we work with.
Yeah.
Not just in my field, but, you know, everybody, everywhere. You know,
Exactly.
it's a crazy time right now with COVID going on, and you know, with the protests and everything surrounding that. So it just made me step back a little bit, and it was just a kind of a teaching moment for me to kind of, you know, grasp and get something out of that.
For sure, absolutely.
Right.
And
So-
you know, that's kind of like what we touch on a lot in the shows. You know, it's just about, you know, it all starts with oneself. You know, and being able to see through
for
other
sure.
people's perspectives at times, and
sure.
kind of, and that's, you know, that's awesome that, you know, you get to go through those experiences and kind of opens up, and you're like, oh dang, well, you know, like you said, you know, you get to see, like, oh man, I have to be a little bit more patient in this area of my life, or whatever it is, you know. And that's that goes with anybody, man, and that's awesome, you know. That's,
and we're all a work in progress.
Yeah,
so.
no, exactly. That's what it's all about.
That's awesome. It's because it shows that even in your comfort zone, you're able to reevaluate your situations. And what you just explained is amazing, because you didn't make no excuse to actually create a new habit. You know. And so sometimes we do get stuck in our comfort zone that we think we can't come up with creative solutions. But we can. We just gotta be willing to do it.
Exactly.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. That's
so
awesome.
Definitely understand that. And also, to kind of add on to that, I think it's not just that, but pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Because our comfort zone, whatever's within our comfort zone, is what we're comfortable with.
Of course.
So anytime we step over that line, it's like, oh, now I'm uncomfortable. But it's about growing your space of being comfortable. So it's always, you always need to be at that line pushing yourself, and whatever it is, whether it's, you know, lifestyle, or you know, your job, education. I mean, anything. You know, we're all more capable than we think.
Of
we
course.
are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that until we think we do something that we think we can't do.
Exactly.
And then we do it, and then we look back and be like, oh, I can do that, but I can't do this.
Yeah.
And then we keep
Pushing the
doing
envelope.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
that's
good.
how we grow.
Exactly.
That's
We
awesome.
can't grow within our own comfort bubble, right?
No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Exactly, bro.
That's what it's all about, and that's awesome, man. Like, that reminds me of I have a friend on Facebook. Well, you know, she
Just
used to live
one?
here. Well, yeah, just one, just one friend, and that's it.
Is it Tom from MySpace?
Yeah, that's it. You know, no, but no, she just changed her life around, man. Like, you know, she went from a bad relationship, which you know, a lot of people go through, and you know, she, you know, gained weight, all that stuff, and you know, had a bad separation, but then, you know, she started, you know, like you said, you know, you start diving into yourself and pushing, you know, and seeing the things that you need to change, you know, within yourself. And then, you know, started doing things that she never did, you know, started working out harder, and started doing the competitions for weightlifting and bodybuilding.
Oh, that's cool.
And man, she stuck to it, you know, and was in the military and had great people around her. And now I see her on posts and stuff like that, just boom, just looking, you know, like I was like, wow, you know, like
person,
completely 100, doing things that she'd never done before, you know. And I'm just like, dude, that's awesome, you know, like that's great to see that, you know, we're more and more people, I feel like, are starting to kind of see that within themselves, you know, and kind of like
I
pushing
think a
that.
lot of people have learned a lot about themselves during the last couple months with the quarantine and everything going on. It kind of just makes you evaluate, like you're sitting at home and you're, you know, what's my life? What are, you know, different parts of my life? How can I improve my life?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's nice to have those opportunities, even though they're not always the best opportunities. At least the circumstances surrounding them, it does give us time to reflect on ourselves. So that's we got to pull something positive out of it.
Great time to seize those kind of moments. And,
for sure.
Take advantage.
For sure.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome, bro.
But I mean, what about your painting and all that? What do you do, or like what do you like to?
So I do stencil art. I've been doing it off and on for about probably close to 10 years now. But there's a lot of off during that time too. So sometimes a couple years at a time. So but for me, it's very therapeutic. I've worked a lot of stressful jobs in my life. So, you know, before being a parole and probation officer, I was in charge of the University of Phoenix campuses in Oregon. I was operations specialist for all the campuses.
That's awesome.
And then before that, I was a counselor for human trafficking victims.
Wow.
So I worked with a lot of young kids that had been trafficked, trying to get them resources, trying to get them back in school. A lot of them were addicted to drugs, things like that.
Damn.
So
that's crazy.
Art's always been my outlet for stuff. People think I'm crazy just once I show them what I do, because I use spray paint with stencils. So I pretty much take a picture. I redraw it on my computer into different colors, different layers. Each color is a different layer. And I print them out, and then I hand cut every stencil, which can take anywhere from days to weeks to months, depending on how detailed each one is. And each painting has about 7-8 stencils layered on top of each other, different colors. So my favorite part is cutting the stencils. I just throw some music on and I can just cut for hours.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
The painting part only takes 20 minutes. The cutting part takes weeks.
Forever.
Oh man.
So yeah, that's what I like to do. I've been trying to do it more the last couple months. Also pushing myself to do that. That's something that I haven't done as much as I've wanted to, but definitely have done more in the last couple weeks, couple months than I have in the last year.
That's awesome. That's
so
good.
I'm trying to squeeze exercising in my day because I've been working out at home. And then I got my stepson at home with me too because he's not going to school. So, you know, trying to keep the house up, trying to exercise, trying to do work from home, getting phone calls done, paintings like, you know, on the kind of the back burner. So I try to do that at night when I can. I got a painting that I'm working on right now. I should probably have it done in the next couple days.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's definitely an outlet for me. I love doing it.
No, that's good. You should, when you're done, post that, you know, on the page, and then, you know.
For sure.
Oh yeah, I love to see your work, man.
Yeah, for sure. I did a painting a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's it kind of. I'll kind of go into the backstory of it first because it's kind of interesting. So about 10 years ago, I was really moved to do a painting of something to do with racial equally.
Nice.
And I didn't know really what I wanted to do, so I had all these thoughts in my mind of what I wanted to do. And I finally one day I was sitting there and I thought, I found the perfect picture in my head of what I want to paint. So I get online and I start trying to find this picture that I want. The picture that I'm looking for is a picture of a African American baby and a picture of a Caucasian baby playing with each other. And I was like, well, but I want to make it my own. I want to kind of throw a spin on it to kind of make it more meaningful and emotional. So I searched for weeks for the perfect picture, and I couldn't find it. And I was to the point where I was, contacting photographers, trying to say, "Hey, do you think if I get the people together to make this happen, can you take this picture for me so I can make a painting out of it?" So I reached out to a couple different people, and in the midst of that time, I found the perfect picture. It was an old picture from like the 70s or something.
Oh, nice.
But it was a black baby and a white baby playing together. And I'm like, this is perfect. So I found out that the guy, his name is Jim Frost, he he was a photographer for the Chicago Sun during that time that he took the picture. So I was like, it's going to be like a shot in the dark for me to contact this guy to get his permission to edit his picture and create a painting out of it.
Yeah.
So anyways, I reached out to him. He got back to me, and we kind of talked back and forth on what I was doing. And I was kind of trying to explain to him what kind of art I did and what my, message I was trying to portray.
Right.
And so he's like, yeah, go for it. Great idea. Just let me know when it's done.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Right.
Well, that was 10 years ago. So I've been working on other paintings, between then and now. I've done dozens of paintings, but the thing is I always thought about that painting. I always thought about it. And with everything that's going on right now, I was like, this is the perfect time to get that old one out, and I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I did that.
Nice.
So what I did was, I'll have to show you guys a picture later, but it's a black baby and a white baby, and I edited the photo to where the black baby and the white baby are playing, and one of them's handing the other one a heart, and the other one's accepting it.
Nice.
So
I like that.
Yeah, so I just thought that putting that, creating that painting, hopefully somebody can see it and say, hey, this kind of pertains to our time now.
Right.
There's power behind this message. There's emotion when you look at this painting.
Exactly.
So anyways, to kind of end that story, I just finished that painting maybe 2 weeks ago.
That's good.
So I was in the shower the other night, and I was thinking, it's shower thoughts, of course.
Right.
Everything comes through your mind when you're taking a shower. So I was in the shower, and I'm like, Jim Frost's name just pops up in my head, the photographer, and I'm like, I know he's an older gentleman, or he was when I talked to him 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I sent him out an email like 2 days ago, and I said, hey, Jim, and I linked it. I found our old email chain, and so I went back and I added onto that so that way he can reference back because it's been 10 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I email him, and I'm like, hey, Jim, it's taken me 10 years, but here we are. I got the painting done. I appreciate your photo. I'm going to give you photo credit if this painting gets sold to anybody.
Yeah.
But this is what I've done with it. So I kind of modified it. I took some stuff out of their hands that they were playing with and added my own stuff. And,
Gotcha. Nice.
So I sent that to him 2 days ago, and I haven't heard back from him.
Oh man.
So
Dang.
I don't know. I hate to think the guy's not alive anymore.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh man, yeah.
No, all I have is his email. I'm sure I'll probably be digging for more information if I don't hear back from him in a couple days.
Right.
I'm hoping he emails me back.
Right.
Because that'll be important part of the loop to close for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he knows that I created this, and I'm gonna, I obviously told him before that I would always give him credit for for the photo. But I just want him to know that like it went somewhere. That particular picture went somewhere, and who knows how many other pictures he took in his life that inspired other people.
Right.
And so I think it's really important to use those opportunities to kind of reach out to people and say, hey, you inspired me to do this. Or
And then
even if it's, it doesn't have to be art. It could be a song. It could be the way somebody studies.
Right.
It could be, the way somebody cooks.
Exactly.
It's
all art at the end of the day.
Exactly.
It's all art.
Like,
Yeah.
And especially imagine how cool that phone call would be. It's like, I gave this guy 10 years ago, one of my photos, and 10 years later you get that call and you see something, that came out live and just beautiful. Oh man, for me, I would be like, that would make me cry. Like, damn,
that's incredible.
Awesome. Like I would take that. I'm like, man.
Yeah. So that's why I think it's important to. Because think about how many of those opportunities get missed.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what if I would have said, all these thoughts that I'm having, I'm like, oh, this guy, he inspired me, blah, blah. But if I don't reach out to him and tell him, that's a missed opportunity to change somebody's, even if it's just change their day.
Yeah, dude. And I honestly, I've gotten the privilege to hear that from somebody that, I inspired them. To me, I didn't know, like I thought I was just doing something regular. Like it was back when I was in high school in Century time. I had a friend named Russell, and I like to break dance back then, and do all that stuff, and and so like he would tell me, he'd come up to me like, oh, can you show me how to break? Can you show me how to dance? And I was like, yeah, bro, just boom, this way, blah blah. We kind of lost connection, whatever, and then I went through my whole immigration thing, and I was going through all that, and then I needed letters from people just so, to pretty much say he's a good person. He deserves to stay here, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And somehow he heard about it. My mom reached out to him, and then he reached out to her, and he sent a letter, and then and told my mom how much like I inspired him to dance and continue dancing, and he did his I think he started his own like studio or something. That's like so that. Awesome. Yeah, over in Seattle, and when I heard when he wrote that in the letter, I was like, bro, like I said, like it made me made me cry, bro. I was like, damn, bro, that's awesome. So like saying like hearing your story, like how much something inspired you, and then hopefully that man is
and the thing is, it's never too late, just like in your situation, like something that you did 10 15 20 years ago, even if you hear it today, it's still inspiring, and it pushes you to do even more for other people. Exactly. I think if the world worked like that, we'd be in a whole different situation than we are now. So
big time. And that's that's what we're trying to push now, is just that trying to inspire each other to kind of push forward, and those abilities, because like you said, we all have abilities. We all have certain things that we're good at, that we're passionate about, but sometimes we get a little like in our shell, and feel like, oh well, what if somebody doesn't like it, or what if but you never know who you might inspire. You never know who you might,
and it can be the smallest thing too.
That's crazy. You just read my mind. I was about to say the smallest thing. Plant that seed, and then you let that seed take root. So as long as you plant that seed, and then that's it though. That's all it is. Plant that seed, and it can just be one thing. If you inspire one person, I mean that's the greatest blessing.
For sure.
Yeah, and what was cool too about that story is that he also, I saw him in the movie. He was like an extra in a movie.
Really?
And he was just like, it was like, cool. I'm sure like once he got into the dancing thing and did his own, like I'm sure he felt like more confident, was like, man, I bet I could do this. And I saw him in, I forget what the movie was, but he was an extra. And I was watching the movie, I was like, is that Russell? I was like, and I looked up on the credits, I was like, that's it's like, that's Russell.
That's still movie credit, right?
Yeah, bro. I was like,
I'll take that.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, bro.
It was awesome, man. So Russell, that's awesome, bro. Thank you.
Sure.
No, that's
awesome.
Yeah, the inspiration and inspiring others, that's awesome. That's
I think that's huge, and it'll get us a lot further, in society, if we were just more mindful of that, because sometimes we realize it, and we see those opportunities. We just don't take the time to take that extra step and just be vocal about it and be like, hey, good job on this, or so I mean, it's something I need to work on too.
Of course.
But I think if all of us were more mindful about those kind of things, people would just be happier in general. I mean, can you imagine just getting a compliment every once in a while?
Heck yeah.
You kind of at least lift your day, right?
And that happens anytime, like when somebody says, oh, I like your shoes, or I like this, it's like, complimenting people, and then you just like, oh man, that made my day. Somebody said I look good, or somebody like my shirt, or it's like trying to get those things back into our society, being more mindful of each other. And I mean, I know the situation that's going on right now, it kind of puts a damper on everything, because you never know. We don't know what's really going on. It's like we hear one story, we hear this, we hear that. So it's like, who do I believe? And then you trying to protect yourself, trying to protect others, but then it's like, man, it's hard. But then we have to always try to remember to not let go of that. Not let go of the forgetting. Not forgetting about each other. I know it's a hard time right now, and we don't know what's really going on. But we should try to at least remember. We're all human beings. We all have needs. We all need to be respected.
For sure.
And at least try to remember that,
Yeah, of course.
Not let go of that. Not let that be broken.
Exactly.
And man, I mean, it's awesome to hear that you're still doing your thing, and that's your passion, and you're doing good, and that's cool, man. Yeah. Do you have a kid, or?
Yeah, actually I have three. I had kids really early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had my son. Well, I didn't have him. His mom had him.
Right.
You got pregnant, bro.
Freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, no, I met her freshman year in high school. I'm sorry. Sophomore year in high school is when she got pregnant with him. And then by the time I graduated high school, my daughter was a month old. So when I walked across the stage, I already had 2 kids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So I started super early. So my kids are in their teens, approaching adulthood now.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so they live with their mom in Boise.
Okay.
And then I have a stepson. He's 9,
Yeah.
and he lives with me and Candace, my girlfriend. So
Nice.
Okay.
yeah, so
That's
yeah,
good.
I've been spending time with him at home, as much as I can
Right.
when I can get away from my computer.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
That's good, man.
That's
and
awesome.
fatherhood's good. Like you
yeah.
seen
I mean,
the whole process of that
definitely.
and dealing with it, and you know.
yeah. I mean, there's
Yeah.
definitely struggles that come with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids change, their
Yeah.
behaviors change as they grow. Their social influences changes.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
No, for sure.
And there's different struggles, and like I said, they kind of, they shift as your kid gets older, and change. But they're always there. There's always,
Right.
stressors of being a parent, and trying to make the right choice for your kid,
Yeah.
making sure you're bringing them up as best as you can,
Right.
while also knowing that you got to let them walk out the front door in a society where it's absolutely chaotic out
It
there,
is. Yeah.
and just plant those foundations in them that will help them understand and evaluate and make the right choices
Yeah.
once they're out there and find themselves in different situations that they probably shouldn't be in.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
So as I mean, that's what parenthood's so hard. I mean, obviously it doesn't come with a manual.
Right.
Everybody raises their kids differently, and there's no really right or wrong way to do it. I mean, there's right and wrong things to do, but
Right.
there's no parenting style that's correct.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of parents beat themselves up about that because,
Yeah.
they tend to do things a little bit different. Maybe they let their kid watch TV a little bit longer than, the neighbor does or their sister
Right.
does, or, and sometimes we just have to step back and kind of realize, like, what are the important things that we're implanting in our kids' mind,
Exactly.
heart, and soul. It's like, what are they going to learn inside the house that they're going to apply outside the house?
Exactly.
And so I think as long as you lay those foundations, as a parent, I think, up after that, it's up to your kid.
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
you can educate your kid and bring them up with good morals and values, and, they can walk outside and make a group of friends that are probably aren't the best choice of people to hang around with, and their
Yeah.
life goes completely sideways.
Right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
It's
true. And I
yeah.
think that falls into, like you said, being able to
Yeah.
kind of let them
For sure.
go and give them kind of their space,
Yeah.
to grow, within
sure.
themselves.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and the same
Yeah.
could be said for the other side of the coin too.
Right.
If you're brought up in a home where it's chaotic, and there's a different man in the house every couple months or couple years, and there's drugs in the house, and there's
Mhm.
neglect and abuse, and people have been to different things that they've struggled with
Right.
growing up, but they've used what they've learned in there to apply it to their life outside of that home and society and make better for themselves.
Right.
So it's nice to see, that part of it too.
Right.
Because a lot of people come from broken homes, and maybe I see it more than normal people just because
Yeah.
of the field that I'm in.
Right. Exactly.
But it doesn't make me more numb to it.
Right.
It's still just as sad to see, some people that, grow up in homes that are, not stable,
Right.
and that kind of follows them into adulthood too.
Yeah. Big
Right.
time.
So
Yeah.
that's where we come in, and we try to help them kind of get back on track. But
Right.
like I said, it's nice to see when people have been in that home and they use that information to turn their life
Better.
around and just do
Right.
better once they get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's and then it also
Awesome.
falls down to the people that, like you said earlier, just that they know the difference, they see the difference because they grow up, but then they choose
Yeah.
not to.
Right.
You know.
You have to at least have
Yeah.
a little piece of you that wants to change that you
Right.
can grow on, because if you
Right.
don't have that,
Yeah.
you can be thrown in jail, you can be forced to do treatment, your family can neglect you, you can lose your kid. I mean, I've seen all of it.
Right.
I've seen people, lose their health, lose their
Right.
teeth, lose their limbs, and
Man.
they still.
Still don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that inside of you to want to make those changes, it's not going to happen. The only
Yeah.
change that's going to happen is
Yeah.
you're gonna eventually die.
Yeah. And honestly, to those, it's like I feel like at that point you can't blame nobody but yourself,
Right.
Yeah.
and you can't sit there and become. I mean, some people will choose to become the victim
For
Yeah.
sure.
and be like, oh, because of this and that and that,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. It's a sad thing, like you said, it's a sad thing, but they can't always expect people to be there and always,
Right.
Yeah.
like be
Right.
there, and like, oh well, there's, like you said, there's only so much one can do
Right.
Yeah.
until
Right.
that person wants to truly
Right. Yeah,
pushing
but I
people
think,
down.
yeah, and to kind of out of that too, I think that anybody that wants the help, even if they're struggling, even if they keep falling down, being somebody there to pick them up every time, or being somebody to say, hey, here's my number. If you're struggling, call me,
Right.
Yeah.
is important for them to have, because it still shows that somebody has some hope left in them.
Right.
Yeah.
It still sees value in them,
Right.
because they probably don't see it in themselves.
Right.
And
That's true.
at that point, their family might have neglected them. They might have lost everything they own.
Right.
So I think that's why it's really important to kind of have that understanding, even though it's hard for some people.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of us sometimes to say, not say, oh, they just keep using, they keep using, or they keep, hitting their wife, or they keep
Right.
committing sex crimes or whatever. And then for society to just completely give up on them when
Right.
they're showing efforts that they want to change, even though they're still struggling, especially
yeah.
with like
Right.
drug use.
Right.
Because that's one thing that just I haven't experienced, but obviously from what I've seen, it's not a switch that you can just turn off.
Right.
Yeah.
People need the help, people need the support,
Right.
and so I think it's really important to for people to know that the support is out there,
Right.
and they don't have to do it by themselves, no matter how many times they fall.
Right.
You know, I've been blessed to work with a lot of people at different treatment facilities here
Yeah.
in Washington County. And, a thing that I get from a lot of my clients is, I tell them, hey, let's get you back into treatment. And then they feel
Right.
like, no, I can't. And I've heard this so many times, I couldn't even tell you. They say, no, I can't, because if I go back there, X, Y, Z will be my counselor.
Oh,
And I've
gotcha.
already like stabbed him in the back like 50 times.
Right.
Dang.
Right.
And I always have to tell them, like, this behavior is somewhat normal for people that are needing help.
Yeah.
I said, there's no point when you walk through his office that he's not going to be willing to help you, no matter how many times you end up using and relapsing.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody there with their door open for you. So I think it's important for people to know that.
Yeah.
Just because, even, I don't mean to go off on a tangent here, but even like suicide rates are really high, and
Right.
people feel like they're helpless and hopeless, and especially right now being quarantined and alone and not having a lot of contact with people out in society, it's hard.
Yeah, man.
And people are struggling. People are struggling with all sorts of things that we don't even know about.
Right.
I'm sure
Exactly.
you're struggling with stuff I don't know about. You're
Oh,
struggling
yeah.
with stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's
Yeah.
struggling with their own things, and
Exactly.
it's important to have that community around you. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
important.
honestly, I think for myself, that's probably one area that I need to improve on. It's like, because there's a time where I felt like with, people that have, messed up and they just continue and
Hmm.
manipulating, blah, blah, blah. At one point, I felt like, I'm just like, well, man, you're never going to change. It ain't nothing,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whatever, it just takes time for you to just be by yourself, alone, to do
Right.
for yourself, by yourself,
Yeah.
to truly understand, like, some people are out here, wanting for you to change and improve, but you're over here still going back and forth, So
Right.
I feel like at times maybe I put too much of a cold
Right.
shoulder, or like, like
Yeah.
maybe a little too hard,
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's just my own personal experience that I have going on
Right.
with
Right. Exactly.
a person. But
Right, and it's hard because
Yeah.
I'm more immersed in these types of situations than most people, just because of the nature of what I do. But
right,
for people that are what you would consider normal, even though there's no such thing as
Yeah.
normal,
Normal.
Right.
Right.
if they see that type of behavior, it's like a 10. To them, it's like, why are you acting this way? Why are you using? What are you getting
Right.
involved in this,
right,
stuff for?
Right.
When we're used to having on a scale from 1 to 10, we're used to
Right.
having like a 5 life,
right,
or right in the middle, and
yeah,
we're not going to be too far left, too far right.
exactly,
And people struggle with that. They don't see. To them, it's huge when somebody makes a mistake like that.
right.
For me, I guess I've just been, kind of.
In it more.
Yeah, exactly. So
So you kind of
to
understand.
me, my
that.
levels are a little bit different.
Right.
But
Right.
to the normal, I would say I can definitely see how that would be hard to process.
Right.
Like, and I can definitely see why it would be, why somebody would react that way to those things. It's
Right.
like, it's like, because it's out of the blue. It's like
Right.
foreign to us. Like, why are you
Exactly.
doing that? That's not
Yeah.
what we do.
Right.
But for me, it's, I've been immersed in it so long that, I understand, like I read police reports. I get to know these people on a more personal level. So I start learning about their background, where they came from, what kind of environment they were in, what led them to use the drugs the first time, what got them to their conviction, what happened after they got out of prison and relapsed. So I kind of get to know a lot of their stories, front to back. And so I think my perspective, might shift a little bit and be a little bit different than the normal person. Right. But I think it's, I think it's important to just realize that, these people need help. They need a second chance, and they need somebody there to be of support to them. Doesn't mean that, you have to immerse yourself and surround yourself in their toxicity.
Right.
Especially if it's like drug use, something like that. Definitely be there to help them.
Right.
But, they have to want
exactly
at least some form of change.
Right.
Even if it looks very far away from them, just tell them, you have people in your life that are supportive of you. You have places that are supportive that you can go to.
Yeah.
And I think it's just critical that people know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's been my thing. It's like, because I dealt with a person that, I've seen their background and I've seen where they came from and, why they react the way they react and they behave because, like you said, sometimes they were brought up just in a household that was just, chaotic, not the right information coming from the parents, blah, 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 all that stuff. And so it's like, I understand that side. But then when I deal with like a person that was brought up like in a good like their background wasn't that as crazy as that other person, but they're still acting this way, what I mean, in a negative state and doing negative things and just like trying to become the victim. I'm just like, I weigh them out. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't be acting this like, you should already know, like, especially if I've known you this long, we know you like,
you at that point, their character, like what their upbringing was.
And it's like, where they came from, what they're, but then they just like make excuses. Well, this happened to me. Yeah, I get you did, you had a bad relationship in the beginning, maybe at this point with one of your parents, but that parent changed, and they're doing their best to become better, and they have, and like, what you have a great mom, like what other excuse do you, type of thing. So it's like I get so stuck in like
and it's hard to get out of that mindset. And one thing that I've learned, through school and through my job and my previous jobs is that the mind is an incredible thing. And with that, trauma kind of shapes a lot of our paths in life. So even though we might not see where, somebody, it might look like somebody came from a good home, and they might have, but what also happened during their childhood that led to where they're at now, if it's in in a negative space or even in a positive space. We all have trauma, childhood trauma, and I think that it's one thing that's starting to be focused on more, within different employment agencies, and especially mental health and, community corrections, things like that. We're focusing a lot on, trauma and how that has impacted, where people are at today, because we can use that information to provide like the resources, like I was talking about earlier, to rectify those situations and get the person to a place where they're stable and they're doing well. But unless we understand their past, or somebody understands their past, like whether it be a counselor, psychologist, PO, best friend, dad, mom, doesn't matter. Somebody that understands it, that's able to grab that information and say, hey, this is what happened. It's hard to work out a lot of those scars that are in our minds because of the situations that we've been in.
And that's true, man. I mean, that's childhood trauma. It's huge, and then I've seen it, and I've like come to understand that, how much that affects us, and like you said, it will shape our perspectives on everything, relationships, even how we think of a certain person, or how we think of life, and how we, it's huge, and that's one of the things I think I've touched on before, but I think that's one of the things that I've need to a little, consider a little bit more, and I just make it seem like, because I know what happened to them, come on, it's time to kind of move on. But like, you never know.
It's a hard perspective, man. Even for us, it's like, it's hard to see that. Like, it's hard to get past that behavior or that action that they did. And see past it and kind of be more understanding of why they did it, instead of reacting to why or what they did.
Yeah.
So and we're human, so of course we're gonna
Right.
get mad, we're gonna get angry, we're gonna
Of
get
course.
Exactly.
upset and sad, and emotions are gonna take over. But and that's okay. But once that passes, it's important to evaluate why did this happen and how can we prevent it or minimize it from happening in the future.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's deep because the deepest scars are in the interior.
For sure.
You know.
right.
Because I think that's how it is. We look at the exterior. The home is the exterior. But sometimes we don't understand what's going on in the home, like you said,
Right.
until we study it and learn from it.
Right.
Right.
And we observe it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
'Cause
Human
we-
behavior is fascinating and it's complex and
Yeah.
it's very. I mean, we're all different.
Yeah,
We're all different.
exactly.
We
Yeah.
all have different minds. We all process things differently.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's just a hard situation to understand other people,
Right.
Yeah.
especially
is.
nowadays when we have, in society we have so many people that are seeing, left or right, black, white,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's hard to see. It's hard for people to see the good in people, regardless of who
Right.
they are,
Truly,
what they do, what color they are, how old they are,
Right.
Right.
where they're from, what their family life is like. I mean, anything. We're all human.
Yes.
We all deserve to be treated with respect.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think pushing that at this time is important because people aren't seeing past that. They're seeing in a
Right.
different lens than we are.
Right.
And we just have to kind of go back to the basics and the foundations.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's so true. I
Yeah.
agree.
Main one, yeah, for sure. Respect. That's where I think it all starts.
Yeah.
I think there, and like you said, it's complex and it's hard to break away from, things that we were used to or how we
Right.
were
Right.
brought up or how we
Yeah.
think. It's
Yeah.
true. That's
Sure.
it's a hard thing, but I think we should all take that into consideration and try to realize that for oneself and, because it all starts with oneself. It starts
Yeah.
Right.
trying to be able to understand yourself and really dig deep into those places where you don't want to go sometimes, and you're like,
Right.
Yeah.
And
things
sometimes
that,
you don't even know. Like
Yeah.
a couple was a year ago, 2 years ago, I started seeing a counselor because I was just my anxiety was horrible. I was
Gotcha.
going through it, and it was starting to affect me physically. My anxiety was so
Gotcha.
bad, and so I was like, I need to do something. I need to do something. So I went to the doctor. I connected with a counselor, and she, and just talking with her in short sessions that I was in with her, she was able to pull out stuff from my childhood that I don't even remember.
Right.
But somehow she made me bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And it's
crazy.
like now
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense as to why this is happening and how
yeah.
it's connected and
That's-
why I'm processing this a certain way.
Exactly.
Now
Yeah.
I know how to go back and fix it.
Exactly.
But I probably would have never thought about had that thought again ever in my life if she wouldn't have dug it out of me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's just
So-
missing pieces to your connection and how you
Exactly.
relate to it.
And there are the pieces
then
we
pull
don't
it
even know are missing.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're just suppressed. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you
That's
just want to,
exactly what they are. They're suppressed.
you
but
know,
we-
you want to forget about them, and then at one point in your life, you decided, you know what? Bam! I'm gonna put it in lockdown over here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's gone. But
Yeah.
being
You gotta
able
you gotta
to-
unpack that backpack.
yeah, being
Yeah.
able to do that is difficult. It's hard again,
yeah.
it's maybe easy for some, but for others, like you said,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just harder for
It's
some
hard.
others, to
Yeah.
be
We're
able
all
to
different.
dig in there and
Yeah.
oh, this is why I do this. This is why I think this way.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, okay, well then I need to start making steps to kind of change that.
Right.
Every
Right.
day, you try to do something different. Try to
Right.
a thought that's different, even the
Yeah.
smallest things. Even gesture or whatever it is. That because dude, there's been so many. I've done that to myself.
Yeah.
I've nitpicked at certain things. Oh, why
Yeah.
did I think of this all of a sudden right when I see this or see this or oh, it's because of this. Oh, dang.
Right.
Okay, so you know what? Snap out of it. Don't do that.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
I'm looking like a crazy person over here talking to myself and everything,
Yeah,
But then,
It happens.
I don't know,
Sometimes you
like,
gotta talk yourself in or out of
yeah,
things.
Yes.
man, and it helps. But I think, yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely a great thing that we're touching on today is that
Right.
being able to go into ourselves, trying to
Yeah.
dig deep. And I know there's places that we forgot or that we don't want to bring up, but
Right.
it will heal so much. It will heal so
Right.
much, open up even more doors.
For sure.
Yeah.
But for yourself at first, but then
Yeah.
that will lead to other, greater things
Yeah.
within your life, abilities, creativity,
Yep.
bringing in people, attracting people that you need in your life,
Yeah.
And
That's amazing because, like you said, it is only the smallest things. So just 1% a day, make
Right.
a 1% adjustment a day.
Right.
That's all it takes. It does have to be 100%. Just
Yeah.
1%.
And I've told people too. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to go to like a whole lifestyle change one day, overnight.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Take baby
Exactly.
steps.
No.
Even if you're not ready to do something, you're ready to do. For example, if you want to start a diet, but you're not ready,
yeah.
Right.
or you're wanting to exercise every day, but you're not ready. Even if you're at the point where you're not doing it, at least think about doing it. At least say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm
Right.
gonna try to do this tomorrow.
Yes.
Right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to at least get my workout equipment out and
Right.
see where things go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you're
That's
still
awesome.
it's still in your mind and you're still processing it.
Yeah.
And eventually, I mean, I found it within myself. I don't know if it's the same way with anybody else, but in my mind, if I get out my workout equipment for the day and I don't do it, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking about it all night. I'm like,
Yes.
man, I shouldn't have done that. So
Yeah.
luckily, like I said in the beginning, I have not missed a day of working out. But setting things like that in your mind really helps. Just
Yeah.
internal Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
For sure.
keep thinking about this, because eventually, if you keep thinking about it, you're going to take action on it. And then
Yeah.
once you take action on it, it takes
Manifest.
baby steps, and then eventually you're going to get to where you want to be, whether it takes a week or 10 years.
Yeah.
But as long as you're processing through it and,
Yeah.
and moving and making progress and doing more than you did the day before,
Yeah.
Right.
you're moving forward, and that's all
Yeah.
that counts.
Exactly.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all about that, like you said, action.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you just visualize it, you put baby steps towards it, and you start manifesting
Right.
as you're making
Exactly.
those baby steps.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one day at a time,
Yeah.
one step at a time, one
Yeah.
breath at a time.
There you go.
Just the smallest thing.
Yeah.
As long as you can say, I did X, Y, and Z today, and it's more than I did yesterday.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Progression.
Yeah,
Small steps.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But yeah, man. To wrap up the show, do you want to end with anything? You want to?
Oh, man, just thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. And Fernando, is there anything you'd like to say, man?
Just thanks for having me on the show, man. It was nice
Absolutely.
talking to you guys. It's nice to actually get out and have some kind of social interaction with people.
All right.
So,
That's good having you, man.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Hopefully, maybe we can do it again.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
absolutely. Oh
yeah.
yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely, bro.
This is not over. This is gonna
Yeah.
continue. We're not stopping. So
Yeah.
definitely everybody out there. Again, this is Fernando, and just tune in. We're gonna be back in another episode, and appreciate all you guys. Love and peace.
Yes.
And we'll
God
catch you
bless.
on that next one.